Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to introduce our final keynote speaker of the day. And this is a powerhouse. This is like, you know, when you have the relay race and you have your anchor at the end to come and literally fly past and beat the other teams. Like, this is the guy. Like, he is awesome. He was at the last Midterm Rental Summit on a panel, and we're like, man, we got to get this guy out here to talk about this at length, and this is that opportunity. So this is, if you guys are taking notes, if you guys are still in that place, we're going to get some big energy when he comes on stage, but make sure that your mind is in a place to receive, because this is really, really incredible information. We're talking about movement. We're talking about opportunities that don't exist in other areas of real estate. This is that. And so talking a little bit about his background, he worked in the hospitality industry in 2014 and prior to that. He has a wealth of experience working with brands like Hilton, Marriott, in the live event space and the tech side of things. And as his career progressed, he worked with some startups where they would do big, huge stadium level events. And his role specifically was sales and marketing and getting federal contracts, among other things. But what stands out and what's important is getting those government contracts and working in the sales and marketing side of things. When he ended up leaving that 9-to-5, he started a marketing agency. And again, I want to repeat that quote from Myron Golden. It's not that people don't know what to do, it's that people don't do what they know. And this is somebody who took what they were doing and they applied it. Because in 2017, when he got wind of short-term rentals and Airbnb, and he started doing that. But he realized, I have all this experience in the sales, marketing, and government contract side of things. Why don't I just take it and apply it over here to what I'm doing? Because in his marketing agency, he went from his corporate 9-to-5 job, working maybe 40 to 60 hours a week, to owning a marketing agency where he was working maybe 80 to 100 hours a week. And when he got into short-term rentals, he was able to decrease his work time burden and be able to do the things that he wanted to do. So he took his expertise, his knowledge, his experience, and he applied it to that short-term rental game. And now he's doing government contracts. And I'm not even going to attempt to go in and explain anything about that, because he's going to do a rock star job. So ladies and gentlemen, please give a very, very warm and Midterm Rentals welcome to Noble Crawford. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, let him hear you. Come on, baby, Noble Crawford.
Hey, first of all, man, give it up for Trevor. This is the dopest MC that I've ever been around, right? All right, so I don't know if Jesse's still in the room or not, but Jesse, bro, I love you. I appreciate you. Man, I appreciate the opportunity to come in here and add value to your group and everything. And so give it up for Jesse Vasquez also. So quick question. Give me a show of hands if you've heard me speak before. You've heard me speak before. Okay, it's a few of y'all. All right, this should be good. All right, so real quick. So my name is Noble. I'm gonna get into it. That's my IG if you wanna look me up. Look, I'm trying to hit 5,000 on IG. I'm just a small fish in a big pond, right? So if you follow me, go to IG, give me a follow. I would definitely appreciate it, okay? All right, so let me give you a little bit of quick story. I almost didn't make it here. I almost did not make it. And it was a very 11th hour decision, okay? And so, I actually didn't even turn my presentation in until like 1 in the morning last night. So shout out to Jesse and his team for taking it at a late hour. But what kept me from almost not making it is my dad. My dad, he just got hit with stage 4 cancer, like two weeks ago or so. And so, so I asked him, he flew up the other night, and I asked him, I said, is it okay if I go? Because I'm his primary caretaker, myself and my wife. And he said, go and change some people's lives. He said he'll be there when I get back. So this one I'm doing it for my pops. So with that, y'all not gonna choke me up on stage up here. So we're gonna keep it moving, right? So this is the reason I got into this business, right? So this is my family. This is my wife up top. That's young me, right? This is so my oldest in the Essential sweatshirt, thinking he's a model or whatnot. Got my middle one. He's a college student at Tech, and then the youngest one over there, the football player. He just started college. He's a sophomore this year, and so that's my family there. Yep. So like Trevor said, I do actually have a background in hospitality, okay? And so I work for all these different companies, the Marriotts, the Hiltons, all that good stuff, right? What I was doing, and this is very important, this is gonna tie in later, right? So pay attention here. So what I was doing at these hotels is I was on the conference services side. So my guys like back there at the tech table, that's what I was doing. I was doing the audio-visual support and stuff. I actually moved up into space, became an AV director, technology director, and kind of cut my teeth on hotels on that side of the hotel space, right? And so I did that for a number of years. I got out of that, and I went into residential home theater. It's still dealing with, projection and lighting and audio and all that good stuff, but I was doing it for homes, doing home theaters, whole house audio, all that fun stuff. Got to work with some Dallas Cowboys players and Texas Rangers players, and it was fun stuff, right? Big mansions, so I was dreaming big. So I did that for a minute, and then I went from residential to commercial. And that's what Trevor was referencing. So then I'm working on, big projects, stadiums. I'm working on military installations. I'm doing big things, but I had transitioned into a sales engineer, right? And then ultimately into commission sales rep. And so I'm doing that job, 2008. Had a family tragedy. My wife had been experiencing some headaches. She experienced some headaches that were coming back to back, and then one of them almost took her out. So we had to go to a doctor, and they said she got a brain tumor. So she has a brain tumor. We need to take it out ASAP because it's big and it's a problem, right? So scheduled a surgery, did all of that stuff, and what should have been like a 6-hour surgery, 2 blood transfusions and a bunch of problems later ended up being like 14 hours, okay? They made it through surgery. They got the tumor out. She made it through. And so she's in the ICU. She's in the ICU. And the second day that she was in there, she started having complications. She ended up flatlining twice in the ICU, okay? And so they were able to resuscitate her both times. Come to find out, she was allergic to morphine. And they had her on a morphine drip, and it was killing her organs from the inside out, okay? And so, after she got released from the hospital, I'll never forget, she got released on Christmas Eve that year. After she got released, I had got called back into the office for a company-wide sales meeting. So in this company-wide sales meeting, the CEO of the company just rips me in front of the entire company for my dismal sales numbers for the time frame that I was staying home taking care of my wife, helping her with recovery. So it's the most humiliating thing ever, right? And that was before Zoom. That was back in the day with traditional video conferencing, right? So I get all these different cities from around the country, and he's just berated me in front of everybody. And so I made a decision in that moment. I'm going to work my tail off. I'm going to work myself out of this job, and I'm not going to be beholden to somebody else's timetable anymore. And I'm going to make time to be there for myself and my family and my friends and all that stuff, right? Thank you. And so that's what I did. I put my head down, I grinded, I went to work. I was commission sales at the time. I closed a couple of large multi-7-figure deals, and I said, I'm cashing out. I cashed out. 2014, I started a marketing agency, right? And I fell in love with this concept of MRR, monthly recurring revenue. As I stacked clients, I stacked that monthly revenue. I was like, I can get used to this. But as misfortune would have it, like Trevor said, I ended up working crazy hours, more than I was working in my W-2. So I was like, that's the whole reason I left my W-2, right? And so then I was introduced to short-term rentals in 2017. And I said, okay, I can do this. Like, my wife and I went out to an event in California around some players at the time, and they were, doing a master class. And we said, we can go back to Texas, put our heads down, and get this done. And that's what we did, right? So we started in 2017. COVID hits in 2020, right? But we had already started doing direct bookings prior to COVID hitting, okay? So here's what happened when COVID hit. As we all know, those of us that were in the game, a lot of businesses started going under. A lot of operators started to fold, right? We actually grew during COVID, okay? And the reason was because we hit that switch to turn on direct bookings prior to COVID. So while people, and we did lose some reservations, we lost 3. We lost a couple on Airbnb and 1 on VRBO. But because we had already implemented direct bookings, we actually grew during COVID, right? As luck would have it, right? We found that, as you know, the colleges were starting to shut down during COVID. Then they started to shut down the dorm rooms, okay? And so we had some properties near colleges and universities. And so we said, hey, we want to take care of those students who are getting kicked out of the dorm rooms, but they were international students that couldn't fly back home because the airports had shut down, okay? So they were stuck here in the States with no place to stay. So we raised our hand. We said, we'll take them, right? So we converted 3 or 4 bedroom townhomes. Instead of renting them by the property, we started renting them by the room. And for whatever reason, just so happened that international Asian females and their friends loved our properties. So we was like, come on, right? And so we actually grew during COVID, and we doubled down on that and some other verticals. And so now, present day, 2024, over 94% of our bookings are direct bookings, okay? And so we're gonna get into it a little bit. I'm gonna show you guys a few things. I'm gonna move fast because I don't have much time, but this is gonna be good. So just a couple quick pictures. I'm gonna go through some of our units. All right, so here today we're gonna talk about the top 7 direct book verticals that produce predictable revenue and higher than average rates. These are the top 7. We play in all of these, okay? Now, caveat, one thing I didn't say, when I was working at a sales job, a commission sales job, I was responsible for working a number of different verticals, okay? Corporate was one, higher education was one, healthcare was one, military was one, federal government was one, okay? So this will make sense here in a minute. But those are the verticals I worked as a commission sales agent. All right, so these are the verticals that we do in the SDR space. Corporate, healthcare, higher ed, relocation, insurance, disaster recovery, aviation, military, and federal government, okay? So these that we found are the highest, highest producing verticals. So corporate, so for us, we kind of backdoored into that, going through different convention and visitors bureaus. We work with MPI, which is Meeting Professionals America. I knew about that from my background, in the hotel space. And then American Express Global Business Travel has a supplier network you can actually get signed up on to get access to some of those corporate accounts, okay? Healthcare, I didn't do like Jesse. I didn't start with travel nurses, right? We actually, when I was working my W-2 and I was working the higher education market, one of the schools that I serviced was a osteopathic medicine, school of medicine at a university. And so I knew that these doctoral students and candidates, after they graduated, still had to stay near this, near the school to go to continue their education. And so when I went back, after starting the STR business, we actually went back and knocked on the door and said, hey, we want to house some of those students. So that's how we broke into the healthcare space, right? Patient and family support. So working with, Children's Medical Center. Children's Medical Center in Dallas, they have programs that pay for families that are coming from out of town to stay near the hospital because their child is there for some type of illness, right? And so we tap into that. Higher education. Now, I'm not talking about student housing, nothing wrong with that, but I'm talking about faculty and staff housing, right? So, or for, visiting faculty that may not live at the area where they're working for that academic semester or that academic school year, but they still need housing, right? So that's actually a thing, faculty and staff housing. And a lot of the larger colleges and universities have those offices, okay? Relocation. Working with certified relocation professionals, right? They have that acronym after their name, CRPs. That can be a gold mine, absolute gold mine for opportunities and leads. Global Mobility Solutions, that's another kind of organization in the space, in the relocation space. And you should go to their website, join their organizations and associations, and get on their membership list, right? There's leads there. Insurance housing, we don't need to beat that to death, right? But it's good money, right? It's good money. FEMA, okay? I'll tap in this a little bit. So we've done some stuff with FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Association, because what happens when a hurricane, like Hurricane Ian, hits South Florida, right? It just decimates an entire area. Then the president comes in, declares it a disaster area, and then FEMA steps in, and they have to help with the whole cleanup and help with kind of getting the city back up on its feet. And there's a lot of stuff that's going on. But guess what happens? When that happens, they have displaced homeowners because a large swath of land was decimated. They also have crews coming in, cleanup crews, disaster recovery crews, linemen, all of that stuff coming to the area. They need a place to stay, okay? On top of that, FEMA themselves, their employees need a place to stay. So quick fun fact, during Hurricane Ian, FEMA sent over 700 of their own employees to be boots on the ground in the area right outside the disaster area. They were paying for 1-bedroom, 1-bath homes $7,000 a month. 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartments, $7,000 a month, and there were 700 of them, okay? The government got stupid money, okay? So we're gonna get to that. Aviation space, so we started playing in this space not too long ago, right? Housing airline pilots and flight attendants. But so here's what happens with that, and we kind of fell into that by accident, through my cousin, but essentially these airline pilots and flight attendants, when they're working their active routes, they stay in hotels like this, and traditional layovers, right? They'll work their route, they're 14 hours for the day or whatever it is, and then they'll stop in a city and stay in a layover, okay? However, when they're not working their active routes and they have that block of days off, they need some place to stay if they're not based in their city of residence, right? If they're not based in the city that they live in, they still need a place to stay. And so what that is called is a crash pad. And so for these crash pads, these airline pilots and flight attendants, they pay in 30-day intervals, but they only stay 5 to 7, maybe 10 nights out of the month, okay? And then, because of the way the industry is set up, and it's very common in the space, you're actually putting 4 people to a bedroom, okay? So it's a bunk situation, 2 bunks in a bedroom. So I'll give you an example. We have a 4-3 in Dallas near Love Field, and so we have 16 people in there, right? It's a 4-3.5 actually, 16 people in there at $500 a bed per month, okay? Do the math, yes. That's $8K, okay? Just on a one single, so that's sick, right? And so a lot to go into. You can tap me later on that one. So military, the military is another great one. They have a rental partnership program through the DOD where they allow for private property owners and hosts and stuff to place their property up for off-base housing, okay? And so the trick to that is, though, because, there's levels to that. With off-base housing, you want to target the officers. You want to target the high-ranking officers. They're the ones that got the money, right? And if they have a family or dependents, they get even more of a housing stipend, right? So that's the trick with that, and you can make some pretty good money there. But here, what did y'all come to hear? The federal government stuff, right? The government contract stuff. How can you leverage your short-term and mid-term rental properties to land some significant government contracts? So I'm going to talk to you about that. All right, so this is why we like federal government contracts is our primary midterm and long-term rental strategy, and you'll understand why I say long-term here in a second, okay? So this is very much a blue ocean business model, okay? So here, what do I mean? So in the traditional short-term space, and at some point in the MTR space, like people are, you are competing with each other. In the short-term space, you're competing for the same transient guest. You're competing for the same Airbnb guests, the same VRBO, the same Booking.com guest, wherever they're coming from, right? In this space, it's very much a blue ocean. Unlike a traditional STR space, it's like meat's in the water, sharks are going after it, turning the water red. This is very much a blue ocean strategy, right? So that's one thing we love about it. But we don't care about regulations and ordinances, okay? Because we're doing 30-day plus, okay? We don't care about these algorithm changes from these OTAs. Okay, that doesn't even affect us. We don't care, again, like I said, competing with other operators, okay? We don't care about seasonality and market swings and stuff like that, right? We don't care, like in the insurance space, I want to do some, I want to take some insurance bookings, but I've got a couple of, weekend bookings on my calendar and I need to flex in no, we don't worry about any of that, right? We don't have to run any ads or do anything like that, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we just don't have to worry about that, right? So very much a blue ocean business model. So I'm going to give you guys a case study real quick. This is one of our deals. It's actually our first one that we got. It's a contract deal. And so there's a Fortune 500 company, okay, and they had what's called a DOD, or Department of Defense, prime contract, right? So what does that mean? So that means a prime contract is a contract between your entity and directly with another federal agency. That's a prime contract, okay? So this Fortune 500 company, they were holding a DOD prime contract, and what they were doing is they were responsible for the training and recertification of helicopter pilots and mechanics, okay? And so this is a huge contract, right? And there's a lot of moving parts up under that contract. One of them was lodging, okay? And so what we were able to determine was these mechanics were coming in 2-week intervals on rotation, okay? And they were doing a training and recertification. The pilots were coming in 1-month intervals every 30 days, right? And it was groups of them at a time, okay? And so here's what we were able to determine. We said, hey, we want to get on that list to provide lodging alongside of the limited stay properties, the Holiday Inn Express, the Ramada Inns, the Fairfield Inns, and stuff like that, right? And so, but we said, hey, how much can we make on this deal? Well, one way to find that out is by what's called the GSA rate, Government Services Administration rate, right? And you can Google this stuff. But so the GSA lodging per diem for this specific deal was $167 a night, okay? And so we were able to already on the front end, before we even engaged in the deal, we knew how much gross revenue we were going to do based on that $167 a night, okay? So here's what we did. We said, hey, these pilots are coming in 30-day intervals, okay? We had 5 one-bedroom, one-bath units available for them. So we said we're going to put the pilots in the one-bed, one-bath because they're coming in, they're going to be there longer than the mechanics, okay? And so rent on that, about $1,500 a month, a couple hundred in expenses. At GSA rate, again, $167 a night, times 30 nights, $5,010. So we have 5 of those. Each one is $5,010. So those 5 one-bedroom, one-baths are grossing $25K a month, okay? So then we said, well, the mechanics are coming in 2-week intervals. We're going to double them up. We're going to put them in a 2-bed, 2-bath, shared living, shared kitchen, right? And so we did that. But here's the beautiful thing. Since we were able to double them up in a 2-bed, 2-bath, that $167 a night, it doubled. So now it's $167 a night times 30 nights times 2. So our 2-bedroom, 2-bath units are generating $10,000 a month or $40,000 in gross revenue per month for 4 of them that we have. So that's 9 doors. That's 9 doors doing $65K per month, month after month after month, and this is a 5-year contract, and we're in year 3, okay? And that's just 9 of our 44 doors, okay? So you run some numbers on that. So we do have 3 units left on the OTAs, and that's because they're right next to Cowboy Stadium, and they just stay booked. So outside of that, the rest of our inventory is all direct booking, all B2B, straight direct. Okay, so we said, we like this, right? So we're about to run this up. We're going to do it again. So we doubled down on that, right? So we repeated the same process to go after another one. So there's another one in North Dallas. There was also a DOD contract. But this time what we did was, like my man Mike Stone liked to mention, we went and got the contract first, and then we held up the contract and leveraged it, and we used it to go get the doors. So what we did was we went to the multifamily apartment community, and we said, hey, we have a guaranteed federal contract with guaranteed clients that are already vetted at the highest level that you can possibly vet somebody at, and we need inventory for the next 5 years. Are you interested in partnering us, or you want us to go next door to your competitor? So it's a different conversation, right? So needless to say, it's not a yes or no. It's like when and how soon, right? And so we are able to leverage the contract to go get those doors for that one. And so, again, this business model provides easy to forecast, guaranteed, predictable revenue that is substantially higher than average rates, okay? Now, we're gonna switch gears a little bit. So I wanna know, who wants to know how to make multiple 6 to 7 figures without owning any property, without leasing, no arbitrage, right, any properties, by leveraging commercial hospitality spaces, okay? So if y'all don't wanna know, we can, all right, let's get into it. So I'm talking about hotel brokering, okay? Most people are like, what is that? You know, like, how do you make money with that? So that's the process of placing hotel rooms under contract with your business, right? And then marking them up and reselling them to the federal government. That is actually a thing, okay? And it is lucrative, all right? So here's how it works, essentially. So you find the property, you find the opportunity. So you find the opportunity that's available through the government, right? You determine the type of hotel that you need to get under contract, right? So there's different types of hotels. Again, hotel background, right? So there's full service properties, the big ones, like this one's full service, right? There's limited stay properties. So that's your Courtyard, your Fairfield Inn, stuff like that, right? And then there's your extended stay, okay? Your typical 30-day plus or so. And so then after you identify, hey, this type of property is the best use case for this opportunity, then you want to go and lock in the rate with that property, okay? Typically, that happens through the sales department. You're typically working with a specific type of sales rep. They go under the SLED or Fed market, right? SLED being state, local, education, and of course, Fed being federal. There's reps, and that's how they're identified if they're on a larger sales team as SLED and Fed. Now, if it is in fact a a limited service property, right, they may have just one salesperson. Sometimes it's the assistant general manager or the general manager doubling as a salesperson. So it depends on the size of the property. And then extended stay, they typically don't have anybody. You just got to go talk to the GM, okay? So that's what you want to do. So then once you negotiate that rate with them, you want to get a letter of intent, which is basically their agreement to say, hey, should you land this opportunity, we're going to partner with you and provide this inventory of doors to support it, okay? And then you mark that rate up from whatever they price it at. You mark it up to the GSA rate, and then you submit your bid, okay? And so here's what a bid solicitation looks like. I'm gonna walk you through a quick example. Hotel one. That's what it looks like when it comes out publicly. And so here's the thing. So this one actually was due today. I was doing my homework last night, getting ready for this. I found this one. It's due today, but the point is, it's a 5-year deal. So you can see a base year and four optional years. That's very common in the space with both multifamily housing opportunities, hotel opportunities, single-family homes. A lot of these lodging, accommodation, housing opportunities through the government are 5-year deals, okay? And so what we can see here is they want the rooms for 6 days a week for 52 weeks, okay? So if we do some math, and we can see at the bottom, if you can see it, there's a total of 48 room nights for a 6-day week. So they want to stay every day except Saturday night, okay? And so we can go again and look at our GSA rate and say, well, how much money is in this opportunity? Okay, so we want to Google search GSA lodging per diem. That's what we want to search, okay? So you want to Google search that. It's going to take you to another page. It's going to be the GSA page, right, where you can go ahead and put in your state and your city and then just hit find rates. And this is a live opportunity. This is actually due today, but this was a legit opportunity. And so this is how we get the numbers. And then you're going to see what's the GSA rate. Well, we can see here it's 127, right? So for Indianapolis, it's 127 a night, and pretty consistent year-round, okay? And so then we know how to do our numbers, run our numbers, and see how much money's in the deal, right? So 48 room nights per week based on 6 nights at 127 a room, that's $6,096 per week for 52 weeks. That's $316,992 per year. A total over 5 years, $1,584,960 gross. Your gross invoicing to the federal government, $1.5 million, okay? So how much profit is it, right? How much profit's in the deal, right? That's the next question. So let's look at it. Let's say we negotiate a $30 spread per night, right? So we're charging the government that 127 GSA rate, but we negotiate with the hotel a $97 rate, leaving a $30 spread, okay? So that $30 spread at 48 room nights is $880,000 a year, or $400,000 in profit, right, over the term. Who would like to make $75,000 a year in easy money? I know I would, right? So here's the thing. Here's why it's easy. You're not dealing with check-ins and check-outs. You're not dealing with cleaning, housekeeping, none of that, laundry, maintenance, continental breakfast, shuttle service, none of that. You do 2 things. You manage the contract, which is basically keeping up the relationship with the agency and the hotel, and then you do your accounts payable, accounts receivable. You bill the government once a month, you pay the hotel once a month, right? And then you sit back, you did your 3 hours worth of work every month, right? Easiest money you can make. A ton of opportunities like this, a ton of opportunities, so much so that the demand is higher than the supply. And so a lot of these opportunities go unbid or underutilized. And the federal government is in the business of use it or lose it funding. And so if they don't use it by the end of the fiscal year, they lose it. So I could pull up 100 of these today. There's a lot, yes. And so the opportunity's there, and that's hotel brokering, guys. That's hotel brokering. So I'm gonna give you a quick case study. So this is a student of mine. So on his first time out, no experience whatsoever. Worked with him for about 4.5, 5, 6 months, and he lands a $7.5 million government contract in Alabama for Department of Justice for the FBI ATF weapons training. Okay, and so that was a 150-door deal. Right, 50 doors were multifamily, and 100 of them was that hotel brokering that I taught him. Okay, and so it was an outstanding deal, and that was his first one. That was his first one out of the gate. And so other students have won 5.3, 700,000. I'm working with a student that won a bottled water contract with FEMA, a multi-7-figure bottled water contract with FEMA, because the government buys everything, guys. They buy everything. So again, GSA lodging per diem. Put your zip code or city in. You can look that stuff up. If you want to play in this space, you need to register your entity. on SAM.gov, System for Awards Management. That's where you register your entity to become a vendor with the federal government. You can't go around that. So you got to do that first, right? Once you register, you're assigned a UEI, Unique Entity Identifier, and then the DOD assigns everyone a CAGE code, right? Commercial and Government Entity Code, okay? And so once you get that CAGE code, you're locked and loaded. You're ready to go get some of this government money, okay? Now, if you qualify for one of these socioeconomic classifications, then definitely go get certified. So if you're a minority-owned, woman-owned, disadvantaged business, veteran-owned, service-disabled veteran, you know, all of that, right? You can go ahead and get certified for these, and here's what that does for you. That puts you in a position for when the federal government says we're going to actually create contract award opportunities for people that fall under one of these socioeconomic classifications, right? And so that gives you a leg up. So it's very advantageous if you qualify to get certified. So here's my thing, guys, the keys to success for me, right? So one is knowing your why, right? And so for me, I got sick and tired of someone else dictating my time and my terms and so on and so forth, and I said I got to do something about it, and that's where I got going. And then I set some stretch goals for myself. The first one being I got to work myself out of this dang job that I hate, right? And so you got to set some stretch goals. The mindset piece, we've been talking about that today. That is super important, right? The reality is it doesn't matter if you're doing contracting, insurance, any other MTR, STR strategy, you're going to have hurdles, right? But you got to work on this piece right here. Proximity effect, I like to call it, right? Being in the right rooms. So y'all are here today, right? So you're in the right place. And then investing in yourself, like, you know, like was being said earlier, you know, investing in yourself through someone who's already got the 10,000 hours like Jesse was mentioning. And then taking action, right? You can learn all of this stuff today and tomorrow, but if you don't take action, it's for nothing, right? So you got to take massive action with that, right? So with that, questions? Mac?
Don't even need to.
Appreciate y'all. I saw a couple of, thank you, I appreciate y'all. I saw a couple of hands. Can you throw my slide back up real quick? I'm gonna go to the last one too, after the Q&A. I'm gonna leave that up in case y'all wanna just, that's how to contact me, my socials and all of that good stuff. Any questions?
Over here.
Okay, we're gonna start over here. All right, what we got?
I have a UEI and a CAGE code already.
My man.
What would be the next step for me to start doing?
Hit me up. No, so what you need to do is you need to actually start looking at those opportunities, those active opportunities, because you're already in the system, right? And those opportunities are also in the system. The second thing you need to do is you need to start developing relationships. So guys, relationships can even be developed at the federal level, right, with federal employees, right? So I would highly recommend that. The best place to do that is on LinkedIn, but there are also a couple of key players that you need to very much develop a relationship with. Contracting officers, number one. Contracting officers are probably the single most important person that you can develop a relationship with in this business, right? They are the ones who are responsible for the success or failure of a particular contract opportunity. So you want to get in good with them. And then also there are what are called OSDBU offices. So every federal agency, of which there's over 400, has an Office of Small Development Business Utilization. Okay, that office, one of their roles is to help small businesses like us land contract opportunities. So you very much want to get to know them, and then a lot of their departments have small business liaisons. So I would say the networking piece and developing a relationship, and then also just getting out there into the platform and start looking for opportunities based on your industry code. Make sense?
Okay.
Hi, my name is Sally. Thank you so much for that. I was trying to take as much notes as possible. My question is, how can I target like the aviation people, and I'm so sorry if you did mention this, I was trying to take as much notes as possible, but the aviation people, how do I market to them?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so on the airline industry stuff, one of the number one places is Facebook groups. They're actually airline industry crash pad Facebook groups where you can actually list your property inside these groups that are active flight attendants and pilots looking for places in their city, right? In their city, their base city. And so that's probably one of the best places. One of the things that we did early on was, you know, every time I fly, I was having a conversation, right, with flight attendants. You know, like, where are you staying? You know, especially those that were coming back to Dallas-Fort Worth area, right? And passing out, you know, discount codes for our property, our first one, right? Once you get a few people in there, here's the thing, guys. Let me divert a little bit. Here's the thing about Crash Pass that everybody needs to know, right? The industry does not have a good reputation, you know, in terms of the product they're putting out. So what do I mean? So in the Crash Pass space, a lot of property owners, they put interior cameras in their properties. That was my action too. That's how I reacted. And so, yeah, so we don't do that in the STR space, right? Another thing is, like, they never change the door code. It's one door code. As people leave in and out, it stays the same. That's a security risk, right? So when you know, like, what their pain points are, these flight attendants and pilots, and you can respond accordingly. So we said, we're not going to put cameras in the, you know, in the property, right? We said, we're gonna change the door code every time somebody leaves, right? And then we even have the individual room doors with key codes on them because they're gender specific, right? So that reason for one, and second, so there's no issue of theft, right? And so just understand, like, the product that they're accustomed to is nothing remotely close to what we're delivering in the STR space. And that's how you can set yourself apart and get that sold.
Love that. Thank you.
Who we got?
Yep, you, brother.
Yeah, my name is Jordan. Thank you. I'm a defense contractor, and we're in aviation. And me and the pilots were all big babies about, like, our hotel points and all of the reward points for travel. How do you separate yourself to get them to your property as opposed to a hotel?
You talking about the flight attendants and pilots?
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's the difference. One, it's actually less expensive to stay in a crash pad than it is a hotel. The nightly rate, if you average it out, is less expensive. But the thing of it is, like, crash pads are an industry norm. They go back for decades, and decades. And so the flight attendants and pilots, they're accustomed to staying in hotels during traditional layovers, right? When they're out flying their routes, you know, 3 or 4 days at a time, and they got to stop in a city overnight. And usually the airline has a contract with the hotel. But when they're not flying their active routes and they're not in the city where they live, they're stationed in a different city, then they need that crash pad to crash at, essentially, right? And so they're it's a common thing. They're very used to it. It was weird to me at first, but it's a very common thing. So it's not really a competition with the hotel. It's just a necessity that they require.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you already asked him. Sorry.
All right, thank you. Joanna from Southern California. So what is the best, is it 1 bedroom, 1 bath the best, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, 4 bedroom? What is best for the industries that you are in?
For the government stuff, or?
A little bit of both, if you can talk about.
So the larger, I would say, like, 3 and 4 bedrooms on the crash pads. That's pretty common. That's good. For the government stuff, it depends on the scope of the contract. So they can call for any number of different things. So here's the thing. Some of them, they'll call for hotels specifically, right? But you can also pitch apartments. A lot of these agencies are not accustomed to doing an apartment in lieu of a hotel. Nor do they have light bulb moments once you start explaining to them it's the same rate, but you're getting more space, better amenities, so on and so forth, right? But it depends on the contract. Some of them, they want 1-1. Some of them, might want to double folks up and put them in a 2-1 or a 2-2. Some of them, they don't care. They just need the inventory. That's more often the case because, again, the demand is higher than the supply. And so, but it's very much based on the contract. And here's the thing, guys. Like, these contracts, there's so many of them coming down the pipe. Everybody in this room could be involved, and we still wouldn't scratch the surface. And so what I like to explain to people, the federal government is the single largest accounts payable department on the planet. Bigger than any other country, bigger than any other organization or entity, right? They spend billions and billions and billions of dollars annually on, on products and services. And a lot of that money Congress allocates to be spent awarded as a contract, right? And even a portion of that, they say, hey, has to go to the small business. That's us, right? So in our space, based on our industry code, a small business is defined as any entity that's providing lodging, housing, accommodations, things like that, that's making less than 35, 40 million a year. I know that's me, right? So we can all be small businesses going after these opportunities. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and how close do you have to be to the airport or VA, or like 15 minutes, 30 minutes too far?
So on the airline side, you want to be under 25 minutes, ideally, right? Because obviously the closer the better, but you definitely want to be under that 25-minute side. For government contracts, understand this. Government contract stuff is everywhere. So I often get the question like, what's the best market? There's some hotbed markets, yeah, that kind of have year-round activity, but you'll be surprised at where these opportunities are. And so I always teach my students, chase the opportunity. Don't necessarily try to match an opportunity to a house or, properties that you have in your backyard. Because if so, you're going to miss out on 99.9% of the stuff that's out there. My student Jeremy that won the big deal, he lives in North Carolina. He had some STRs in San Antonio. He won the big contract in Alabama. Guess what he did? He shut down his 40 doors in San Antonio. He won 2 more contracts. He's at 3 now. He's got to go to do 5, and then he's retiring. Okay? So they're everywhere. Like you'll be surprised.
I'm coming to the back. Coming to the back. You, sir, stand.
Thank you for the knowledge, sir. Do you also see opportunity in possibly doing brokering deals for commercial office space to the government or land or something like that?
Yes. I like where your head's at, right? So here's the thing. The government buys everything. Those of us in the real estate, that play in the real estate space, I literally mean everything. And when they buy land, or they even more often lease land, they will lease land from 10 to 30 years. And guess who gets paid every month for the duration of that lease? The winning vendor. It's ridiculous. So you're talking about long money, that's it right there. So they wanna buy office space, right? They, like, you name it, they buy it. I know a lady, she won a 7-figure hair stylist contract. Like, really. And so here's the thing, like, once you learn the process of federal procurement, you can turn that bad boy on for any business endeavor that you start going forward, right? And there's, back in the day when the iPhones came out, they used to say there's an app for that, and now there's a contract for that, okay? And so that's how it works.
Hi, Noble, thanks for being here, and also praying for your dad. My name's Camille, I'm from Seattle. I'm just getting into this space, and I have challenges starting, right? Getting rejected, denied, right? Especially with like corporate screening. So when you reach out to these government contractors, what's your pitch, especially when you're starting out? Like, how do you, are there criterias, for example, that they're looking for?
Yeah, so good question, by the way. So first, I would recommend, especially if you're brand new, right? I would recommend going after the low-hanging fruit, right? So what is that? So low-hanging fruit would be like, the opportunity like I showed you with the hotels. Other low-hanging fruit actually happens through FEMA, right? So again, to my point, like I was explaining earlier, like when FEMA has a need, it's a large volume of needs. So understand this. Out of all the 400-plus federal agencies, none of them will utilize Airbnb or reimburse their federal employees and contractors for Airbnb stays, except one, FEMA, right? And so you can actually leverage your property to to house displaced folks, and FEMA will pay you handsomely for it. But even better still is you can actually, when a natural disaster is getting ready to occur, because usually you'll know ahead of time, you can go to their website, sign up, and then you can go out and get the inventory to then support FEMA's needs, right? And then once you're signed up, and they'll pick up the phone and call you. They'll say, hey, can you support, and if so, how many? Okay, so that's low-hanging fruit. So I would suggest going after the kind of the easy stuff. And then the other thing I would say is subcontracting. So those 2 deals that I walked you through that we did, we're not primes. We're subs on those deals. We're under those DOD prime Fortune 500 companies, right? And so that's a lot easier to qualify for, easier deal to do, right? Versus my student, he was a prime on that deal, right? So there's a lot of kind of easier entry points, if you will. Make sense?
Thank you. Hi, I'm Naz. I'm from Sacramento, California, and I just want to say thank you so much for being here, and thank your dad, and God bless your dad for having you come here, because I think you changed a lot of people's lives today. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
This will be the last question. You ready?
Hi, thank you. It was amazing content, and yes, we do all probably collectively pray for your dad.
Thank you.
My question is, in your portfolio of projects, what's your ratio between the properties that you own versus, I don't know, brokering or arbitraging? And for those that you own, what's your kind of like strategy? Why these particular properties? Thank you.
Good question. So of the 44 doors that we have, most of them are arbitrage. Most of them we lease, right? So we own a couple of duplexes and single families, right? Like they were using for the airline industry. But most of those are leases. The ones that we're using for the government stuff, they're all leases, right? So there's 9 on one deal and there's another 6 on the other. So those 15 are all lease properties, right? What I will say is it doesn't really matter, right? If you own it, lease it, or if it's neither of the above, then you're going after a hotel deal, right? You want to chase the opportunity, right? And what you'll find, and well, I'll close with this, because a lot of times, guys, what you'll find is maybe there's not anything that you can find that's right in your backyard that supports your inventory of properties, but 3 states over, there's a 30-unit deal that you could very much go after and win, and you're gonna make so much money on that deal that you're not even gonna care what's happening with these 3 or 4 doors over here. You see what I'm saying? So it's high cash flow. It's ridiculous, okay? And so, so yeah, own, lease, arbitrage, neither of the above, there's an opportunity for all of that, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Noble Crawford! Killer. My gosh. Dude, that is killer. I'm so glad that he talks really fast because there was so much to get through. Dude, that is life-changing stuff. Show of hands, how many are starting to believe that midterm rentals can be a movement that you can be a part of and change the trajectory of your life and the people around you? Show of hands. Come on, make some noise, ladies and gentlemen. Make some noise. Nobody's ever talked about that. Like from the stage, the way that he delivered that, nobody's talking about this. This is a huge opportunity, and why it's so important to stay connected in the community. Be doing deals with people to your left and to your right. Come to the events. Get plugged into education. Find the mentor. Take the action. Do the thing. And I promise you will not live to regret it. But ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to close out. Just one quick announcement. We are going to have the VIPs, after we close out, VIPs, Cassidy is in the back, blonde hair, she's waving her hand right now. You gotta have VIP on your ticket. You're gonna meet back there and we're gonna discuss the evening plans for tonight. But really quick, I did wanna mention whose arms are tired from Noble's event, or his speech. Every new slide was like, standing up, so don't even worry. If you didn't go to the gym this morning, you're good. But we just have one quick surprise from the key sponsor, Furnished Finder. So ladies and gentlemen, please give it up one more time for Jeff Hurst.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for letting me get right between you and happy hour and Jesse. I was talking to Jesse. I haven't been this excited about being at a work event for a very long time, which makes me excited that I picked this new career and have been doing it for 5 months. To share that excitement, the team and I wanted to do one thing for each of you. If anyone adds a listing or buys a new listing today or tomorrow, we'll give you an hour of free photo shoot to use for your property. And so if you've already bought one, please tell the booth and they'll get you set up with a snapper credit so that you can get some free photography. More importantly, I asked Jesse if I could interrupt and just share a little bit of like how much this reminds me of 13 years ago earlier in my life. Jesse's younger than me, so I get to be even more of like an older guy in the room on this one. But when I joined HomeAway, it was 2010, and the first time I went to a travel conference was later that year, 2010. I hadn't really thought about it. It's Focusrite. It's like a big industry thing, but short-term rentals were nowhere. And Jesse mentioned earlier, he's like, hey, you know, this isn't the type of place where Evolve and Vacasa are going to get in. And I saw a few, you know, I'm not sure everybody knew who they were, but it reminded me. So Evolve is a property manager that only does advertising for short-term rentals. And Vacasa is a property manager that does property management for short-term rentals. In 2010, I met the founders of each of them. The founder of Evolve, when I met him at the bar at Focusrite, had 2 properties, and they were both his in-laws. He has over 30,000 landlords today. And the Vacasa guys were there, and they had 4 properties, and they were all friends and family, and they have over 40,000 homes today. And the thing, that kind of like doubting mentality, or like, am I doing it right, or what's next, or where do I go? The thing I'd share with you is like, I know the Brions, and I know Brian Egan's a very close friend, and his founder, Adam Sherry, like, just dudes. Like, these were not people that woke up with like the absolute most incredible idea and went to real estate school for 30 years and figured it out. Like, they were attorneys, and they had been in hospitality, and they'd kind of wandered, and like, the thing I wanted to encourage each of you was that, like, I've seen that journey in a space that went through rapid growth, and you're at the beginning of that journey. And a lot of people are asking the questions that kind of feel like, I'm scared to do the next thing. And I want to like start by saying, like, exactly, find a coach, find a mentor, find someone that's done it, but be scared of what you might miss out on more than whether or not the first thing's the right thing. And it's really exciting for me to think about which of you is going to have 10,000 properties, or which of you is going to have $100 million in government contracts. And what I want to like reemphasize is like, Furnish Finder is here to be a source of direct bookings. And we are here to solve problems for you because you are our customer. And the thing that I didn't hear as much of until Noble just totally destroyed it, what was like one of the better presentations I've seen in 13 years of doing these every month, was obsess on the problem you're going to solve for someone, not on the life you want to have. And so like, if you're just thinking about how can I make $200,000, like, that's a hard problem to solve compared to like, what can I do for somebody? And one of the things that I think is kind of blurry in the room is like, who's your customer and what are you solving? You're either solving a problem for a homeowner or property manager, in which case, newsflash, you're a property manager. It might be your property or someone else's, but you're either doing that or you're solving something for tenants. There's not another answer. And figure out who your customer is. And Noble was like fascinating because like his customer is actually kind of the tenants more than anything. And then he goes and solves it. But if your customer's a landlord, and like in real estate forever, they've said list to last, just obsess on solving that problem. And then the relationships are going to come naturally because you've helped somebody do something, which is usually make money or save time. And we are obsessed with helping you make money and save time. And the faster each of you gets clarity on what you're obsessed on, you're just gonna take off. This moment is perfect. And I'm so excited to be here. And sorry I took an extra 5 minutes away from your Mai Tais. I'm gonna pass it to Jesse.
You guys, wrapping up, is it day 2 or is it day 1? I think it's day 2. How freaking awesome was this? Let's give a round of applause to every single person that spoke today. We really mean it. Let's hear it, guys. I hope today you guys are able to take something away that's useful, that at least it could be one thing. That was always my goal when I went to a conference. It didn't matter what it was. I just want that one thing, that one nugget, that 177 nuggets that Noble just gave right now, something to take away that I can implement in my business. And you guys all have something that I'm sure each and every one of you took away today. So I'm super pumped to cap out for tonight with this awesome, awesome event. I want to thank all the sponsors in the back. Without them, we couldn't be putting this together. So let's give a round of applause to all the sponsors that are in the back. All those sponsors I hand chose myself because I use them and utilize them. Those are people that I respect. So definitely go by, check out their booths. There's a ton of good products. I'm super excited for day 2. We have a ton of other badass speakers going to be up here speaking, including Cody Sanchez, which I'm super excited to see, Henry Washington, Rob Abasolo. We have, I know I'm missing other people. Who else am I missing right now? Rafa, my buddy Rafa is going to be speaking tomorrow solely. So we have a lot of other people to learn from over the next day. So tonight you guys go mingle with each other, go hang out, make sure you're connecting with each other. This is what these rooms are for. And you guys feel the energy in this space? You guys felt that energy? You feel it? Continue to network with each other. And let's have some freaking fun tomorrow, you guys. So give a round of applause, not only yourselves for paying attention to this. I appreciate you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't leave the room without big energy. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, make some noise. Come on.